Welcome back guys to the new best build of all time. No matter if you want to do short range, mid range or long range, this will be the best and most powerful gunfighter range weapon build you can currently make in Cyberpunk 2.0 and Phantom Liberty. I almost played the entire DLC with it and I have never had more fun playing this game than by using this build. This is the first fully optimized Sandevistan build that uses all the crazy items, but you can also completely do this with base game stuff, and I will show you exactly how to do it. And of course it kills max stack with absolute ease. This build will carry you through the entire game even on the highest difficulty without any problems. And this is mostly because you can activate and deactivate your Sandevistan whenever you want to. The apogee Sandevistan has absolute no cooldown, so you can simply activate it at only 25% recharge rate. Any further kill will then extend its duration basically forever. Even if it runs out, you can immediately activate it again and continue your rampage. This build will shred your enemies and all the bosses in the game to little pieces. The first weapon and the most powerful weapon for short range we will use for this build is the Sovereign. The Sovereign is a base game item which you can craft from a crime scene location. This weapon got so insanely powerful since update 2.0 because the micro generator will add 280 electro damage every time you reload this weapon, and since you will reload this weapon after every shot, it simply doubles the damage for every shot you make with it. This weapon was my favorite go-to weapon most of the time when running around from enemy to enemy, delivering them headshots with absolute ease, and you are even able to kill giant Arasaka killer robots with just a handful of shots. The extreme short time to kill also works wonders when extending your Sandevistan. The best weapon for mid-range and probably the best SMG or assault rifle you can even use together with Sandevistan is the new Raiju Tech Gun. It's shooting so fast that it is even not slowing down when you activate your Sandevistan, which makes it a really extremely good choice for it. 2 quick bursts with this weapon will down every enemy even on very hard, and thanks to the slow-mo it is even much easier to charge it. The best new long-range weapon is probably the Sparky, because it doesn't even need to be charged to fire its electric bolts to all surrounding enemies. It basically has an instant charge, reloads much faster, and is much better to handle than the Rasetsu. And the insane apogee Sandevistan allows you to precisely slow down enemies when you aim at them. There will be no situation where you will ever get in trouble while using this build. While you can get both of these weapons, the Raiju and the Sparky, only from crime locations in Dogtown, there are also good replacements for it. Instead of the Raiju, you can just purchase a standard Zenku LX from Jinguji in downtown, and instead of the Sparky, you can also just use the Overwatch, which will be almost just as good. Jinguji's shop can be found in downtown at this location, and he is not only selling cool clothes, but also the basic version of the Raiju, which is the Zenku LX. But the Raiju is definitely the better version. The Sovereign is a free base game item, so you can perfectly use this even if you only have update 2.0. It not only got extremely powerful thanks to the new micro generator which adds electroshocks to all your shots, but it also has a new iconic trait that makes all your close range shots guaranteed crits. The Raiju is a really extremely cool new weapon. It does not only require no charge to penetrate walls, it is also extremely precise and has an increased crit chance alongside with increased damage. It also has one of the highest fire rates of all SMGs or RRs in the game, and these shots don't even slow down when you use Sandevistan, which makes it extremely good for this build. My favorite sniper rifle of course, and especially for this build because of the handling, is the Sparky. The Rasetsu, especially when you combine it with Sandevistan, will literally take forever to charge and even longer to reload it. So I definitely don't recommend it, especially when you make a Sandevistan build, just go for the Sparky. It is way better, reloads faster, aims faster, and requires an absolute zero charge time. Our Cyberware OS will be the Militech Apogee Sandevistan. This Sandevistan can be activated at any rate of charge. This mechanic completely ignores all the cooldown on this item. You can just run around from enemy to enemy, activate and deactivate it whenever you need it, and always have slowdown when you need precise aim, which makes it an absolute must-have item for any range build. In our hands Cyberware we have the micro generator which adds 280 electro damage for every shot we fire with our Sovereign, which just turns it into an absolute doom slaughterhouse nightmare machine. It is the best reliable one-shot weapon combination I've found so far for very hard, which is not only dealing with humans but also one-shotting robots. To keep your Sandevistan up even on very hard, you need something that kills very fast and very reliable, and this combination is almost unbeatable. By the way, if you want to support me creating more of these builds, you can also consider to become a Patreon or YouTube member or check out our Discord server. For the Cyberware, of course, we will go with the Edge Runner perk to increase our capacity. In our frontal cortex, we will use the axolotl. The axolotl reduces all the cooldowns of all our cyberware and basically helps also to keep up our apogee Sandevistan. The axolotl is a base game item. You can get it when you complete all the 23 gigs from Regina. You don't have to complete the Cyber Psychos, you only have to complete the normal 23 gigs. It is a really powerful item that you should definitely use when you play with Sandevistan. For the operating system, of course, we have the Militech Apogee Sandevistan, which can be activated at any time you want. You can even activate it at only 10% or 20%, and when you then make a kill, you can keep it up and just increase the duration, which makes it so incredibly awesome. You can just activate it whenever you need to have precise aim for your sniper, to have just slow down when you are in trouble, like every time you have to aim. The axolotl and the apogee Sandevistan are the core of this build. You can also get the apogee Sandevistan at any Ripper Dog in the base game, you just have to increase your level to get it. If the Ripper Dogs are not selling the apogee yet, you can also resort to the Falcon Militech Sandevistan, which can also be activated at any time. In our skeleton, we just want to increase our armor as much as possible, so we go for the best possible and cheapest items to do that. The Epimorphic Skeleton will give us over 220 armor, then Parabellum will give us another 120 and an additional 13%. This item is actually much better than the Rara Avis iconic one, because Rara Avis doesn't give you armor on itself. The Rara Avis only gives you a percentage bonus, which is much higher, but it is only better when you already have over 1200 armor. The Rara Avis costs more capacity than the Parabellum and the Pain Editor combined, and the percentage bonus on the Rara Avis will only make up for this if you are over 1200 armor. So definitely use the normal Parabellum and other items until you get to that point. The bionic joints are another good item that gives you a lot of armor for only 6 capacity. And then in the nervous system we will go for the visual cortex support. The visual cortex support is basically used to give your sniper rifle the maximum amount of crit chance. All other weapons, the shotgun and the Raiju, have crit chance bonuses, but the Sparky does not, so we have to use something that increases our crit chance for the Sparky. And the visual cortex is just the best for it. We don't need any reflex tuner or synaptics accelerator because we can slow down the time anyway whenever we want thanks to the apogee. So using the reflex tuner additionally is basically a waste of capacity. Then of course we go for subdermal armor, which gives us a lot of armor for only very little amount of capacity. Of course you can also squeeze in a pain editor here if you can. The Kiyoshi Cockatrice optics are a special Phantom Liberty item which you can only get if you own Phantom Liberty. It gives you an additional 35% crit chance. But don't worry, if you don't have this item, you can also just simply swap in a second heart for 30 capacity, or also just another pain editor in the integumentary system if you want. You don't really have to get these amount of crit chances because your sniper rifle will basically one-shot everyone anyway. The shotgun will have 100% crit chance even without your optics, and the Raiju will also just have 100% crit chance without using this, so this is basically just a buff for your sniper rifle, which don't really need it anyway. But if you want to have 100% crit chance and you have the capacity, then definitely go for the optics. But if you're only playing on update 2.0, then simply go for optics that have only one capacity. In our hand cyberware, definitely get the micro generator. It literally turns your shotgun into an absolute nightmare killing machine. In the circulatory system we will go for the biomonitor. It is just the second best item after second heart, and also heal on kill if you want to. In the first slot you can either equip second heart, or you can also just equip a blood pump, which is also quite nice. And of course don't forget to use the tendons for your double jump. But now let's finally check out the skills. We will again go for as much as possible on body, reflex and tech, and if you have more points from the DLC you can further drop them into cool. Another option is also that you cut reflex to 15 and go for cool 9 if you want to. But with the DLC you will have more than enough points to do that, so you don't really have to worry. This distribution will just fit every build without ever worrying about a respec. When it comes to body, you should definitely go for 20, because the finisher also reduces the cooldown for all your health items, which is really helpful on higher difficulties. Grab all the basic stuff at the bottom for your health refill and then go for Adrenaline Rush. Unstoppable will remove all the movement penalties. Definitely get it, it is really helpful, especially when you play with sniper rifles or anything that is a bit heavier. Juggernaut will give you even more movement and more damage, and Calm Mind extends the duration even longer. Adrenaline basically works as a health shield above your health, and it is really awesome when you use it. Really helps a lot during combat. Every time you use an health item, you will get adrenaline, and even the biomonitor will also kick adrenaline. So using the finisher, which reduces the cooldown for your health items, is really working well with it. Then we go for the shotgun perks here on the left, die, 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 which reduces all the stamina. Then we go for like a feather, which removes all the movement penalties, which is really important. The obliteration and the increased chance for obliteration is extremely good, because when you have the bloodlust perk here in the middle, you will also get adrenaline every time you dismember an enemy. So that's a really great synergy effect. You can just run around, continue to shoot and one-shot everyone, and you will also get adrenaline every time you do that. Let's swap to Reflex. In Reflex, you actually don't have to go for any finishers, because the SMG finishers aren't particularly strong, so it is really valid if you just go for 15 on Reflex. But if you ever want to use blades or assault rifles, especially the Salt in the Wound is mandatory to make assault rifles even viable. So for this build, it's not necessarily needed to go for Reflex 20, but don't forget you will also get crit chance for every level you increase it. We actually don't have much in Reflex, but if you want to go for blades, of course go for Lead and Steel, and then definitely get Flash and Thunderclap, which is probably the best blade ability you can get. Check out the other blade build I made if you want to use it. Other than that, we only go for Slippery, the increased climbing speed and dash when using this build. For the Raiju, we will go for the SMG tree for increased reload speed, get Tunnel Vision for increased accuracy, Mind over Matter will decrease your recoil, and then we will go for Sharpshooter. Stacks of Sharpshooter will almost entirely remove any stamina cost and also increase our crit chance and our critical damage dramatically for using SMGs. The finishers, however, are a bit lackluster, especially for SMGs. I think they are not really needed. The reload speed is so fast anyway, and Salt in the Wound is sadly only working for assault rifles. The tech tree is really full this time because we want to enable the Raiju to get to its full potential, so we get all the stuff that increases damage and increases the chance to generate bolts and damage with bolts. Also, if you don't want to use Sparky but rather use the Rasetsu or the Breakthrough, this will really help you in generating these bolts, and it is incredibly easy to actually hit the spot when you use these weapons, especially with Sanvistan. But I still prefer Sparky for the handling. In the Cyberware tree, of course, we go for all things Cyber, License to Chrome and the Edge Runners perk. This time we only get Extended Warranty and the Renaissance Punk. Of course, if you want to reroll and upgrade your Cyberware, you have to get the driver update and the Shipware Connoisseur, but you can remove these points later on. In this build we have to save a couple of points, so this is the minimum amount you should put into your Cyberware. Because we also want to go into the Health tree for Glutton for War, Health Freak and Pyromania. Because the Micro Generator and the electric explosions on our shotgun will also create stacks of Pyromania. So definitely go for Pyromania for increased damage and also the increased mitigation chance. If you have enough points, you can also put some of them into First Aid and Transfusion to improve your health refill. For the cool tree, we have actually two ways to fill it, depending on if you have the DLC or not. If you don't have the DLC, you don't have all these extra points, so you only go for the bottom stuff. But if you have the DLC, you can also go for the Focus and Deadeye tree. But definitely pick up the Feline footwork for increased movement speed, quick getaway and the Killer Instinct. When you go for Focus, you should also go for head-to-head to increase the duration of focus and also Deep Rest to get a further slowdown for your enemies. Deadeye will be amazing for your sniper rifle, giving you additional headshot damage and also additional crit chance, and especially the Deadeye finisher would make all your sniper rifles automatically crit whenever you make headshot. However, the finisher is not really needed because the Cyberware we used here will almost guarantee a critical hit every time you shoot with your sniper rifle anyway, because we are way above 80% crit chance even without using the Deadeye finisher. To make this build perfect, you can of course remove 5 points from Reflex and put 5 points additionally here into Cool to get 20 Cool, 20 Tech and 20 Body. I think that is the most perfect way to play this build. However, if you ever want to use blades or assault rifles, you want to have Reflex. You don't have to go for anything under Intelligence, you can just leave it at 3, but I had some leftover points anyway, so I increased it to 4. In the Relic tree, of course, you can go for the bottom ones first, but all of these abilities are not really game breaking, and when you have the DLC, you will fill out everything anyway. And if you don't have the DLC, it don't really matter. It really won't affect your gameplay unless you play heavily with some of ARM's Cyberware, but other than that, you don't really need this. I hope you like this build. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like, and see you next time.